If you think that I would go into a game of this caliber like some kind of moronic amateur, I feel like you don't know me at all. I prepared for this moment and I trained like never before, playing some of the most important video games that there is. Games like Bruno Biggs' Big Disney Racing at the Magic Kingdom featuring Bruno Biggs as a character. Oh.
Well, hello there. Frick is the name.
Baron Carlot. Who the hell is Baron Carlot? This is the most evil character I've ever seen. Mario Kart World has an incredible roster of characters, don't get me wrong. Look at this dance. They want me to pick him. There are more animals to pick in this game than Animal Team Racing for the PlayStation 1, which is a real shitty game. Hogan is selectable? Nintendo knew what they were doing when they put this character on the front of the box art instead of Mario. I love Bumblebee, I love Penguin. Those are some of the most memorable characters of Mario, but you can never match up to the sheer star power and presence of Bruno Biggs. Why is Mickey so fat? That's not Mickey, that's Bruno Biggs. He has nothing to do with Mickey Mouse. He's his own character, and a better character than Mickey, a more beloved and iconic character. Look, I got first place anyway. Wait, why am I first place and everyone else is gone? What happened to the other racers? He didn't eat them. It's a small world after all when you play as Bruno Biggs, because he's so fucking big. There's a character for every type of player. If you love bees, you can play as a snowman. If you love Crab Rangoon, maybe take Bowser for a spin. Chip equals goat. Chip is a fucking squirrel, my man. On top of the base roster, you also have this endless closet of variants. Every time you bite into a Yoshi burger, you are transformed into a new version of yourself. Once you've unlocked him, you'll enter every race as Bumblebee Wario, but you can never know what you'll come out the other end as. Probably Princess Yoshi. Even with all these characters and costumes and animals to play as though, somehow Nintendo scammed me into playing as Mario. Oh, there's a wave button. Now that's new. Now I see that we're playing with the power of Switch 2. Wave back.
Oh, hello.
Wave back. Wave back, damn it. This was Wave Race 64, he would wave back. If this was Ant's Extreme Racing for PlayStation 2, every single ant partaking in the race would wave to you before every race starts. Once I used the ancient shipwrecks to get a boost and unlock the Phanto sticker, something inside of me changed. Don't kill me! How do I shoot back? It's like the Bumblebee Wario part of my psyche was taking over my entire personality, and now I had to collect every single sticker in Mario Kart, even though they don't seem important at all. Wario Motors? That's a good company. They gotta put stamps in GTA 6 now after this. Oh, you just shot a man in the back of the head? You got the Michael stamp. These guys? No! I should have got a stamp for doing that. Whenever my daughter goes to the grocery store, she gets a little sheet of stickers for going. How come I don't get that for playing Mario Kart? Well, now you do. They figured it out. Whenever you do your taxes, you should get a stamp. When you go to the dentist, you should get a stamp. Whenever you help somebody out or perform a good deed, you should get a stamp. This is the way we fix society. This is the way we discover that Wendy's does car interiors now. UFO? What's going on with that? What's this? In Garfield Kart, the UFO was the most daunting villain of all. But in Mario Kart World, you can play as the UFO because they know that we all love this game. That's why they're doing another one. Let's be clear here. This is better than Ant's Racing. The Game Boy one, at least. Everybody loves that part of Breath of the Wild where you exit out the cave and the piano starts swelling. You approach the cliff and it's like, dang. So that's the kind of game I'm playing. The Mario Kart version of this moment did not occur till nighttime when I saw this. What? Sunshine Railway? But you can drive off of it? Wait. It's like this type of game? Wait a minute now. They knew what they were doing with the two. They knew I was going on there. This is a slick game. This is a slick game. Hey guys. Oh, fuck. Even though Target sold me this game, they quickly became my first enemy because they don't give the baby stickers to a man in his 30s. I'm killing him. Get him, get him. I killed this guy. I might have to chase him around the entire open world, but I'll kill him. Eventually. Red shell now? Here we go. Thank you. Oh, they all missed, huh? Hit me though. Oh yeah, we're getting him. He went through all those, huh? This is how I feel when I play Counter-Strike. This guy will not get hit. Look how many I'm going at him. What is he doing? He's doing something. He can't be killed. He's just trolling me. I'm never gonna kill this guy. I'm going back to ants. Kill him. Oh my god, I got him. I got him. Oh, I got a stamp. Nice. After chasing this guy for 30 minutes and then the prize for hitting him with the shell was a picture of his face, I decided that this is one of the best open world games, but also maybe they should have hidden this open world mode like after you beat the game as a bonus. Think back to the old Mario Kart where you could drive off the track in Royal Raceway and just start cruising around the castle courtyard from Mario 64. That was magic because it felt like you were breaking the rules of the game and seeing something you weren't supposed to. World's Open World does that trick 3,000 times over, but you won't really appreciate it until you've sunk some decent time into these courses. It's raining items on me. Oh, that's badass.
Luigi Kart 8
is one of the best games because it has the best courses of any racing game, and one of its best courses is Mount Wario. It's like a 3-course meal in one, but you're not really doing laps, it's just one huge continuous track. Mario Kart World is like Mount Wario World. That's the whole game now. In Grand Prix and Knockout Tour, nearly every lap is different. The courses in this game are as beautiful as Princess Peach Rabbit version, but also as deep and full of secrets as Birdo Rabbit version. Check this out. Oh. Crown City, rank gold plummet. Never try to race me at the whistle top summit. DK spaceport, you already spilled because I got more bills than deserts hills. Shot town where you at? Heard you guys like to listen to circus music and leave baseballs on the ground and shit. Here we go. Watch out for my funny dance. 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 The rules of racing games is that they always have to have the best graphics ever, every time, and they definitely followed the rules on this one. This is one of the courses from Ants Racing. I don't think I will ever get sick of taking this turn on Mario Brothers Circuit where you are skirting the edge of a cliff and you can see all the way down. It's such a visually striking moment. Yeah, that's the end of that career. The cartoony lighting scheme and artificial perfection of Toad's factory, the way the sun glows off these beautiful rapids with leaves drifting down them on cheap falls, the imposing way courses loom in the distance. The visuals are so varied with so much charm and character. The Forza Horizon games are impressive in their own way, but in terms of atmosphere, there is one key area where Mario Kart absolutely destroys this franchise. In Forza, you have to listen to the music of Forza, but in this game, you get to listen to the soundtrack of this game. On top of the new compositions, they're doing new, sometimes multiple versions of songs from nearly every Mario Kart and mainline Mario game. The scope of this soundtrack is psychotic. I think it has more songs than Final Fantasy Rebirth. Kuzayaku, Albert Whisk, Gruntilda, Jiminy Cricket. In the entire history of video games, there is not a single villain character that is more evil than the blue shell from Mario Kart. Which is why it is so satisfying to finally be able to outsmart the blue shell. You can't do it like that though. Witness the power of YouTube Rewind. YouTube Rewind? When it works, it is really cool, trust me. YouTube Rewind. And it makes a little wave to go off. Come on now, that's badass. Xbox, Rewind. Holy shit! Mario Kart's world is one of twists and turns, valleys and peaks. One moment you're on top of the world, the next moment you're under it. Nope. Hate this shit. For every oh shit moment in the single player, there is an equal oh shit I'm never playing this game again moment in the multiplayer. Oh! Whoa! Oh, this is me. This is me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me. Bounce off the eagle! No. What the fuck? Alright, check out this turn. Trying to get him off? Nah. Oh, shit. I make it a rule to always win on the 7th attempt. Watch this. Wall ride. What? Huh? What was that? No, that was out. Do you play to win or have fun? I've only played to win. I don't want fun to ever enter the equation. If I can do my famous wall skip here. The fuck was that? I should have called this Mario Kart World. Jack and the Beanstalk fucking type of game. At the end of the day, Mario Kart World is a game of great skill, where only the greatest player will win. By utilizing the incredible... Fuck, what the fuck? I'm gonna use my famous wall jump. Failure. Stop getting on the wall. Listen, I know that it never works, but remember that one time where it worked? I didn't want it to come to this. There's no emotion on my face right now. I'm not having any fun. I feel nothing. Boom. I don't give a shit. There. I think that was my third or fourth try, right? Mario Kart World combines the unexpected roster of Bruno Big's Big City Racing with the massive scope and collectibles of Muppets Race Mania. The courses are more bountiful than those served at Olive Garden and set to a decade-spanning soundtrack which can go toe-to-toe with legends like Sonic R and Mickey's Raceway USA. But the final piece of the puzzle is the platforming. The more I wrap my head around the rail grinding and wall riding, the more it's like I'm opening a Pandora's box of oh shitness. This summer we get Elden Ring, Mario Kart, Deltarune, Death Stranding 2, and Donkey Kong. I don't know what I did, but thank you.
While the interconnected nature of circuits can lead to frustrating Grand Prix and open world designs, Mario Kart World's new driving mechanics and bold new Knockout Tour mode makes it a fun time on Nintendo Switch 2. Improving on perfection is no easy feat, but it's a magic trick Nintendo has repeatedly pulled off. Just look at the jump from Zelda Breath of the Wild to Tears of the Kingdom. And yet, if the Nintendo Switch 2's premier launch exclusive proves anything, it's that Mario Kart as a series is a very different beast. Mario Kart World isn't a bad game per se. In fact, several aspects of the formula have been creatively tweaked to the point of exhaustion, with new ways to race sprinkled in both on and off track. Yet that's also strangely part of the problem. problem. With the exception of Knockout Tour mode, almost everything else Mario Kart World does best isn't necessarily new and ends up being a distraction. The result is a colourful kart racer that's still awesome to play in the moment, but one that undeniably pales in comparison to its immediate predecessor. Honestly, Mario Kart World's biggest problem is its need to try and usurp Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Although originally a Wii U game eventually ported to the Nintendo Switch, the latter quickly grew to become one of the best value propositions in games ever thanks to its admittedly sporadic post-launch support that saw new cups, tracks, and racers gradually added. Knowing this makes it totally understandable why the original Nintendo Switch never received its own Mario Kart. The Nintendo Switch 2 obviously doesn't have this same luxury, and so the race has clearly been on for Nintendo to try and push the envelope yet again. Its primary method of doing so is right there in the subtitle, yet it's hardly the saving grace of the overall package here. That honour instead most definitely goes to Knockout Tour mode. Very much Mario Kart's answer to the ongoing Battle Royale trend, I was instantly taken aback at just how much racing to, well, stay in the race, works to ramp up my competitiveness and makes taking every corner a moment of high tension and risk. Seeing the racer count whittle down from 24 to 20 to 16 and so on while trying to reach that next gate threshold brings a new degree of challenge not seen in the series before, and it's brilliant. True, the mode often feels punishing and a tad unbalanced, much like the returning Mario Kart modes, but it's a thrill that really gives World a distinct new flavour that players who have spent $80 to play at launch will no doubt be looking for. The standout new mode is further complemented by inarguably the tightest, most complete feeling racing mechanics ever, because as if knowing how to effectively drift, boost jump, and deploy items didn't bring enough strategy to the act of racing, making almost every rail, wall, and train track grindable does well to make you approach tracks in a fresh, vertical sense. Mario Kart is no longer just about drifting and using shortcuts to gain the lead over your in-kart rivals, but also places a lot of emphasis on having you make the most of your surroundings. The primary way you go about doing this, of course, is by mastering what's called the charge jump. Although it takes a little getting used to, holding down the drift button without any directional input to charge up a jump eventually becomes second nature. The bigger challenge comes from actually knowing how to use this build-up to know when to release and hit a rail or wall perfectly. Doing so incorrectly can be extremely costly, with crashes or missed surfaces often costing you a lot of momentum that you could have otherwise spent increasing your lead in the race or trying to catch whoever has managed to outpace you so far. The charge jump comes in particularly useful during interstitial moments during track transitions, which tend to be straight and don't offer chances to increase your speed otherwise. Mario Kart World is absolutely no slouch in the racing strategy department then, with plenty of planning and thought still required to maintain a lead over your other 23 on-track rivals. Does this increased racer count make racing through tracks more chaotic than before? To an extent, since tracks both old and new have been adjusted slightly to accommodate all those extra wheels with a wider breadth and fresh grindable elements. It's when Mario Kart's usual rigmarole of unpredictable item drops get thrown into the mix that the chaos truly ensues, as blue shells, lightning strikes, and super horns are deployed in quick succession to make you crash out and then attempt to crawl back. It would have been nice if new items like the feather and Kamek spells had more of an effect, but it's probably wise not to upset the balance too much. Where things in Mario Kart World begin to go properly awry is in its attempt to make every track feel like it's part of an interconnected map. Taking the core Mario Kart experience and transplanting it onto an open world structure isn't a bad idea in theory. The problem is, rather than learn from the racing greats who have made a similar jump, such as Burnout Paradise or Forza Horizon, Nintendo has stringently stuck to its guns to come up with its own interpretation of the concept. Turns out that it's one that's oddly stale and kind of boring, as all there is to do when driving in Mario Kart World's new free roam mode is to seek out arbitrary collectibles, seen here in the form of peach coins and question mark pads, that do very little else other than unlock cosmetic stickers. Far more interesting, if only slightly, are the P-Switch missions. There are well over 100 of them to be found in total, which when accessed present you with mini challenges that force you to test out your driving skills in unique ways, at least in theory. From collecting coins within a certain time frame to performing some incredibly precise wall riding tricks. In my 20 plus hours of playtime, I've found very few to be all that interesting, outside of the sheer visual delight the interconnected map naturally provides. Unlike other open world driving games that are absolutely packed with personality and things to do, finding the fun in Mario Kart World's version can sometimes feel like pulling teeth. The actual world is by far the most inconsistent part of this package, which is a shame given its potential. Equally disappointing is how Nintendo's insistence on making most tracks drivable from one to the other seamlessly disrupts the standard Grand Prix game mode. Because while I have no problem with being able to choose whether I drive between, say, Sky High Sundae and Dandelion Depths in Versus mode, making this the standard in Grand Prix mode feels like a huge unforced error. It leads to huge stretches of the tournament feeling like an aimless sprint to the next true track, with only one full lap on a track making up a race. The other laps serve as these weird interstitial transition courses. Making traditional Grand Prix Cups act this way is a choice, but not necessarily the right one, since it makes learning new all-timer courses like DK Spaceport and Boo Cinema much harder. Mario Kart World makes some genuinely bold attempts at reinventing its colourful karting formula. The problem is, most tend to be lackluster and very few land with the intended effect. It's not a complete blowout by any means, as racing against a full online group with up to 23 others is a blast, and trying to 3-star all 8 new cups is still a true challenge. However, it's the game's interconnectedness that detracts from the magically produced secret sauce the series does so well, with changes to Grand Prix structure and free roam's inconsistent activities holding Mario Kart World's true greatness back. Knockout Tour is where the beauty of this Nintendo Switch 2 launch title truly lies, serving as the foundation for an otherwise fun but familiar kart racer. We at All Out Gaming give Mario Kart World a 3 out of 5.
Alright, so pretty recently I uploaded a video on the channel where I reviewed the Nintendo Switch 2 as a whole. And in that video, I said a lot of positive things about Mario Kart World. You can go back and check it to see what I'm talking about, but I was basically saying like, oh, I'm addicted to it. I'm really enjoying the game. It's a great game. And not even a week later, like a few days later, my opinion on the game has already done basically a complete 180, and I figured I would just make a whole video reviewing the game as a whole because I have a lot to say about it. This was one of those weird situations with a game for me where the more I played the game, the more I realized to myself, wow, I really don't like this game. This actually really sucks, and there's a lot of dumb shit going on. And believe me, I didn't want that to be the case. It's not like I'm playing fucking NBA 2K where I'm coming in here expecting to just hate everything about the game, and I already know that. Like, when this game was first shown off, I was like instantly glued to my screen because the promise of an open world connecting like Mario Kart game sounded like the perfect thing that Mario Kart needed to like really evolve. Because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was pretty much a perfect game. You really couldn't improve on that game. The only real way that I thought that they could go to make it better was to go completely open world, which is basically what that did. And it sounded really smart in theory. And now that I've actually put a decent amount of time into the game and I've played a lot online, I'm just kind of sitting here with an empty feeling and I'm like, wow, that's very underwhelming and kind of shit. And I'm going to try my best to articulate why I feel that way. So let's start here with free roam, because to me, this is the most underwhelming part of the game. I had really high hopes for the free roaming. Like the idea of being able to drive on this huge map, like interconnected with all of the tracks, genuinely sounded so cool. But in reality, it's empty and it sucks. Like the open world is huge. Like you can drive around, but there's nothing to engage with. Like there's these little missions. It's kind of like mission mode from Mario Kart DS. Like they're tied to P-switches and shit. And there's like some scattered coins to collect. But to me, that feels more like a fucking chore than actually going on an adventure in an open world. The majority of the map besides those things is just completely empty. And I feel like I'm driving for no reason. Like what the fuck, what's the point of that? And the rewards for doing these little missions, like the P-switches and the stuff I was talking about, all you really get is stickers. You get fucking stickers like I'm in kindergarten and I did a good job of my coloring sheet, so I get a little sticker. I don't get characters. I don't get car parts. I don't get any new tracks. I get fucking stickers. Like, who is out here trying to grind for stickers? I promise you, no one I've ever met in my lifetime is trying to waste their time doing all that extra shit for some stickers. That's just stupid. Now, the only real appeal of the open world, besides the stupid little missions, is if you're trying to get all of your character costumes, and that's a whole separate thing I'm going to get to, but that process is also just tedious, and I'm going to explain why. In case you don't know, if you haven't played this game, to unlock alternate costumes for your characters, you have to drive and pick up a food cart. You have to have your character eat the food cart, and they unlock a costume, which in theory sounds kind of fun, right? But it's not, because you have to switch all of the characters manually. You have to scroll all the way through this bloated ass roster. Every character has like 5 or 6 costumes, at least like the mainline Mario characters. And you have to scroll through and pick them and just drive back to the same food cart and keep doing that over and over and over and over again. It's this bizarre, like repetitive loop that turns this open, fun exploration of an open world that should be fun, but instead it just becomes a stupid side task of trying to get all of these costumes. And the majority of the costumes suck. They're only really there to inflate the character roster because they're all separate little tabs. When you see that before you unlock them, you think, oh, the character roster is going to be huge. There's a lot of characters there. But it really isn't. The vast majority of them is just bloating with all these stupid character costumes that no one really wants. And in the open world itself, you know, there's a lot of Mario characters there. There's like the Toads, Shy Guys, Yoshi, like all that bullshit. But they're just there. They're just standing there. You can't even interact with them. There's no dialogue. There's no quests. It's just window dressing. That's literally all it is. Like, I thought I'd be out in this open world, like whipping my little Mario Kart around, right? Finding secrets and like cool little shortcuts and shit. But I only went in the open world for about an hour, and I don't ever want to go back into it. It just sucks. And that would be, I could let that go maybe if the actual racing in the game was good, but that also kind of sucks. And now we're going to get to that. So first of all, by default, the game automatically turns on smart steering, which drives me insane. But I can let that go. It's subtle. I'll just turn that shit off and never turn it on again. I don't know why it's on by default, but that's another thing that just very mildly annoys me. But as you actually get into the game, you're going to notice that a lot of the shit feels off. It honestly feels like the game is just constantly trying to correct the way that you're driving, and it just feels wrong. And specifically when you start drifting, it's very different. It's way looser if you're coming off Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. You can't like really drift sharply at all. And I would not mind that whatsoever. Like, that game's 10 years old. I would like something new, so I have no issues with that, really. But it's the fact that the tracks are not built around that at all. The tracks are just comically fucking wide because there's 24 players, and we're gonna get to that. I fucking hate that. But the tracks are not built for the way that this game handles and the way that you drive in the game. So it just feels like shit when you're trying to actually get into a race. So like I was saying with widening the tracks, I think what they did was they made them wider to fit more players. And that makes sense because Mario Kart World has 24 players instead of 12. It's twice the amount of people. So making the tracks a little wider makes sense. But that doesn't mean that the races are better. Like I said, it feels like shit. And it kind of ruins the flow of the game. Like with the wide roads and the long straightaways with the intermissions in between the tracks, there's not a lot of like tight technical movements. I feel like I'm just driving in a straight line half the fucking time. And I'm going to get to the intermissions later, but that's kind of relevant to what I'm saying right now. So I'm going to stay on topic. And because of the huge player count, if you're in the middle of the pack, anywhere between like 5th and like 20th, you are legitimately just fucked. You are going to get absolutely asshole penetrated by items all over the place. If you're like, honestly, if you're in 5th in a race, just give up. Just hit your brakes, stop the car, stay in the back of the pack until the end of the race, because you will just get absolutely ass blasted by items. It is such chaos. And you might think, oh, it's Mario Kart, the chaos is fun. To a degree, I do agree with that. But it is just so comically stupid in this game, to the point where if I'm actually doing well in a race, I don't feel like I deserve it. And if I'm doing like shit in a race, I don't feel like I deserve to be doing like shit. So no matter what I do, I don't feel like I've earned that. Like, there have been so many times, I'll use this as an example, where I am racing and I'm in first for the first 2 laps. And then out of nowhere, halfway through the 3rd lap, I just get red shelled and blue shelled, and everything comically hits me at the same time. And I go from way in the front, from like first place, all the way down into the low 20s at the end. And I just get absolutely fucked. And I'm like, what even just happened? Okay, and that's fine to happen occasionally. We're playing fucking Mario Kart. I understand that. But that happens way too frequently. Like, it's stupid. And I have very similar experiences when I'm in the back. Like, all of a sudden, we get to the 3rd lap and I'm in the back. I start spamming my items. All of a sudden, I'm flying past all the chaos in the middle of the pack because I can get to some shortcuts now that I have good items. And all of a sudden, I'm in the front of the pack. I didn't earn that shit. I just sat in the back the whole time and spammed my fucking items at the end. That doesn't take skill. Like, it's just complete chaos in the middle, to the point where no one wants to be anywhere in the middle. If you're not in first and you're not in last, you want to be, because there's no point in being anywhere else. You're just going to get fucked. And I would say that this actually goes double for anything online related. You are not rewarded for racing well. You are literally just rewarded for surviving the fucking chaos. You could be taking the most optimal, perfect lines, every shortcut. You know exactly what you're doing. You're playing perfectly, and you will just get ass blasted. And I get that it's Mario Kart and that has to happen occasionally. It's very RNG. There's supposed to be a low skill gap. I understand that, but it is way too frequent. It's just ridiculous how often shit like that happens. Also, quickly, before I forget, I want to talk about Knockout Tour. I actually really like Knockout Tour. This is the one thing about the game that I will say, yes, this is an objective W. I really enjoy Knockout Tour. That's actually built for 24 players. It utilizes the open world properly. The intermissions make sense for the tracks there. It's very fun. Like, that shit is actually, that's the right amount of chaos. It's very random and it's very fun. So Knockout Tour is fun. I hope they keep that going for future Mario Karts. But I do not enjoy normal races online at all. And another thing I've noticed is, because all of the tracks are kind of stitched into this big open world that they made, none of them really have any individual personality. And this really started sticking out to me when I was driving to the tracks, and I realized to myself, I have no idea where the fuck the course ends and the transition to the next course begins. And that was like especially true when I was playing the Grand Prix and when I play versus mode online. It all just kind of blurs together after a while. Like, it just, there's no real personality to these tracks. It's all just one big blur, and I really don't like that. And as far as the shortcuts in the game go and like all the crazy shit I've seen, I will admit the shortcuts that I've seen online are absolutely ridiculous. Like, that takes so much technical skill to pull off. But what I've noticed is half the time, they don't even save you any time. Like, it looks cool, it's really flashy, and I'm gonna look at that and be like, wow, that motherfucker doesn't get off his fat ass and go outside, because what is he even doing? I've seen people like flying across the track and tricking off walls. I'm like, what the fuck? But half the time, you only do that to fall behind. Like, they aren't really functional. They just look cool from what I've seen so far. I also want to briefly talk about battle mode. I'm not really a battle mode player, but objectively, it fucking sucks in this game. They kind of pulled the Mario Kart 8 all over again, the original Mario Kart 8 for like the Wii U. The battle mode in this game sucks. They don't even really get any individual tracks. I don't give a shit about battle mode, so I'm not gonna like be like losing my mind. Oh, Nintendo, what the fuck? But I can even realize, as someone who doesn't play the battle mode, that is objectively lazy, and it is really lackluster in this game. Like, wow. And look, before people comment this, I understand that games are evolving all the time now. That's pretty much how every game works. They're pretty much all live service and drop pretty shitty. Mario Kart World, it's probably going to get a lot of updates, patches. It may even get like a huge overhaul, kind of like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe did with the Booster Course Pass, right? But I don't think the core mechanics are going to change. And that's what's holding me back the most. And that's why I was so confident to make this video and say that the game is trash. The unpredictability, the lack of control, the over-reliance on chaos and bullshit, you can't patch that out. That's how people recognize this game now. Like, that's how it is. That's the game. Now, I want you all to remember that this game costs $80 by itself. And I was one of the people defending the price, not the $80 price point. I said that was bullshit. But I was defending the fact that, hey, if you get it bundled in with the system, it's only $50. That's a pretty fair price for what you're getting. I don't even know if this game is worth $50. I'm not going to lie. The open world is the selling point, and the open world sucks. I think at this point, I would have rather just had another linear Mario Kart game, kind of like 8 Deluxe, where it's just linear and it's 3-lap tracks. That's really all it needed. If the open world was good, I would be supportive of it. But no, and $80 for that, for an unfinished, like bland Assassin's Creed-ass open world? No, that is not worth $80. That's just stupid. Even back when I liked the game about a week ago, I said, hell no, it's not worth $80. And I especially stand on that point now. And I brought this up in the video I made the other day, but I'll just bring this up again quickly. Other companies are going to see this now. They're going to see, wow, those fucking idiots paid $80 for a generic-ass Mario Kart game just because they slapped open world on it. wow, they're fucking stupid. Wow, we underestimated how stupid people are and what they'll pay. So now Xbox and PlayStation are going to see that and go, wow, we're going to start charging $80. They're already doing it. There was a game that's coming out for $80 on Xbox. I forgot what it's called. It's been getting a lot of news. I don't really know what game it is, to be honest with you. But I did see Xbox is already doing it. And like, just wait until Activision or 2K, the greediest companies imaginable, they're going to see, wow, they're paying $80. Let's start charging $80. And people are going to pay for $80 for fucking Call of Duty and 2K slop. People will easily do that. Like, they have no issue doing that. And it's a real fucking problem. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That went from me trying to do an actual review to just me yelling into the mic about how shit this game is. I really wanted to like it. Like, I was rooting for this game. You heard me last week. I was even enjoying it. But even then, like, I'm seeing all of the issues in this game and I can't ignore it. I'm just not enjoying it anymore. So that's pretty much where I am. I haven't played this game probably in like a week now. That's where we are with it. I'm just really not enjoying it anymore.
After all the streams, all the hardware analysis videos that I've done, and my discussion on the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, I finally had time to sit down and play Mario Kart World by myself to collect my thoughts, and I've got my review. The big question that's floating around in the social sphere about the Nintendo Switch 2, I think, boils down to what is a killer app for the launch of a game system. And I did a whole video talking about all the launches and all of the various killer apps that came along with hardware along the way. And I think a lot of people have been scratching their heads about why Nintendo didn't come out with a new Mario game in 3D, like a Super Mario Odyssey 2 or something like that, with the launch of this machine. And they instead chose to focus on Mario Kart World as their launch game. And I think, personally, that this was a great decision for Nintendo because it is a game that is going to appeal to a mass amount of people. And whether or not this game launched day and date with Nintendo Switch 2, let's say they flipped Donkey Kong Bonanza as the launch title and Mario Kart World was going to come out a month later, this game would have been thought of as a launch title regardless. People would associate this game as being part of the Nintendo Switch 2 generation. And I think that's exactly what happened with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It became a 70 million unit selling game, I think, on the Nintendo Switch 1, and maybe add on another 8 or 9 million for the Wii U version of the game as well. So it's one of the most successful video games of all time, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And I obviously think that factored in the decision to put Mario Kart World sort of in the box with the Switch 2, if you bought the package that it comes as a code, at least in the box. But is the game fun? Is the game good? Is it satisfying? And the only answer to that, I think, is hell yes. I think you have to approach this game with the idea that it's a long haul. Just like what they did with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Nintendo is going to support this game for a long time to come, and you're going to be playing this game for a long time to come. And so that makes it a little bit difficult to kind of analyze this thing as a launch product and to just sort of give your holistic opinion on how this game succeeds. Because I can tell you, it delivers tons of different variety in terms of its tracks. So you're racing through snow, you're racing through water, you're flying a plane for a bit as you're racing through air. There are cool little tunnels and shortcuts, and you've got all these new jump abilities that allow you to race on the side of walls and then flip and fly and do some two-wheeling stunt driving for a bit as well. And of course, there are 24 racers on each of these tracks, and so it gets incredibly chaotic all the way through, but especially at the beginning, it's just absolute carnage at the beginning of these races. And there are all these customizable elements that you can pick up along the way for each of the different racers. And honestly, that was a really nice surprise for me because it made me want to try out racing with all of the different characters. I wanted to collect all the costumes for each of the different characters. And I have always found in Mario Kart games that I've sort of mained a character or two and stuck with them. And in this game, it really is fun to kind of mix and match and try different karts and to keep unlocking all the karts. I think all the Mario Kart games do a pretty good job at sort of doling out the rewards, but I really like the reward system in this. I also enjoy some of the new weaponry that you get in this game, like chucking hammers at your opponents is pretty fun. I like that every once in a while a Magic Koopa will fly by and transform all of the characters on the race. I think that's pretty fun. I like the new ice flower attacks in the game as well, and there are a bunch of other new items in here as well. There's just a lot to kind of mine and dig into. And it's rich and it's incredibly rewarding, just sort of playing the game as we always play these Mario Kart experiences, going into the Grand Prix and getting a collection of 4 different races and trying to navigate through this enhanced chaotic experience with all of these different karts on the track at the same time, and way more shortcuts, way more freedom in experimentation and taking risks and trying to find some beautiful lines that will shortcut your way to victory, which is really damn cool. I like all of that. And one thing I noticed about these Grand Prix races is that because it's a world map, it's an open world map that you can explore in free roam, there is a little bit more connectivity between one race to the other. So it's a little less like you're globe-trotting, let's say in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, especially when they started to give you all the DLC tracks. It really felt like you were jetting all over the place with lots of different variety. You'll be in a Paris track for a second, you'll be in a Vancouver track, you'll be in something from the Super Nintendo. This feels like there's a little more cohesion between the tracks, and because that's happening, it's more of a gradual change from one sort of environment type to the next environment type. It's just a different approach to Mario Kart because we've always had this sort of globe-trotting kind of vibe with the games where you didn't know the surprises of the next level. Now, that happens a little bit more in real time. You'll see transitions in the environment. You'll go from sort of a deserty area and suddenly there'll be trees, and then you'll climb up into a mountain or something like that. It just becomes a little tougher, I find, to remember the flow of how everything is going to go, and also to point out in your memory which of these tracks you like the most, because they all seem, and they are, connected to each other. So it's a free flow kind of roam. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to see a ton of variety. And I love things like racing and bombing over the water, and the waves are high and the rain is pelting you. I mean, it totally evokes Wave Race Nintendo. We need a new Wave Race game, come on! And that's crazy fun. I like the, slippy slidey dynamics, obviously, of racing in the snow and on the ice. I loved racing through Bowser's Castle, incredible. And I love the Rainbow Road track as well. It's an unbelievably cool conclusion to all the madness that you have survived. And so Grand Prix mode is really fun, and it definitely feels like connective tissue to what we have known in previous Mario Kart games for sure, but it is a little bit of a different vibe in your mind trying to grapple with moving from one location to the other, and there's a flow. Like you'll race through a desert and then you'll be in a market that's in a desert and you're like, have I just raced this track already? And I found myself thinking that quite a bit as I was racing around sort of the familiar landscape, but that's really just kind of scraping the surface of the gameplay. You can get a versus mode going where you can kind of select a bunch of different tracks as well, and you can set up teams so you can race alongside as part of a team with other people, and then the collection of points that you accumulate along the way is how you win the game. So it's not just winning the race, it's how the rest of your team does as well. I thought that was pretty freaking fun. Of course, there's battle mode, so you can shoot at each other with balloons, or you can race for coins, and that's ridiculously fun as well. But the reason why this game is an absolute masterpiece and an amazing launch experience for Nintendo Switch 2 is Knockout Tour. This is an incredible mode, and it's a mode that has been borrowed from other racing experiences where you have to cross a sort of checkpoint line, and the amount of cars that can pass that line shrinks as the races continue. That very notion of all of these tracks being connected into one long flow, it's almost like when you were racing in SSX3 where you went from the top of the mountain to the bottom of the mountain and everything was connected. It's very similar to that kind of vibe with Knockout Tour, because you race along a whole path, and so you're going to go for track after track after track, and there are 6 different kind of checkpoints along the way, and you're losing players the whole way through. And this is crazy fun, whether you play it locally with some family members or friends, whether you jump online with some friends, or whether you go total anonymous and just jump online and sort of pit your skills against the rest of the world. It's only been a couple of weeks that Mario Kart World has been out there, but people are freaking incredible at this game. They know the shortcuts, they know where to bounce off of the walls, they know how to zip onto 2 wheels at the right point and sort of get all the boosts, and you just see them whipping, zipping ahead of you. And it is really, really challenging to win in Knockout Tour. It is absolutely intense, and it is so freaking fun and addictive. I mean, it is the epitome of one more time. Let's play that one more time. One more again. Let's go. Let's try it one more time. And it will pummel you and it will humble you but God, it is amazing. It is incredible to have all of this information streamed at you, all of this insanely detailed world building that goes into each of these different tracks in Mario Kart World is all coming at you, plus all the skills of all of these different players that you're pitted against in online play. It's, you know, it's still super fun when you play it offline as well against the CPU, and you can set the difficulty depending on how much you want to be embarrassed by the computer, but it is just so addictive and such the standout experience in Mario Kart World. And then the other big element here is that because everything is interconnected and it's called World, you have a free roam experience as well. And this is about sort of isolating different power buttons and going on these little mini missions, collecting blue coins, making a bunch of jumps appropriately. I was playing as Wario and acrobatically balancing on two wheels across these flowers that were taking me up higher and higher into the sky and jumping through hoops. You get little stamps at the end of those. There are also question blocks that you activate and peach coins that you pick up along the way, and lots of little coin piles and things. But it doesn't feel anywhere near as intense or, you know, filled with life and activity as just racing the regular races, whether you're in Grand Prix mode or battle mode or especially in Knockout Tour mode. When you're in free roam, it's pretty chill. It's really, I think, just meant to kind of get the lay of the land. It's also a good way to get to know the tracks and to look around for shortcuts and things like that. And there's lots of little surprises and little rewards that you will find by sort of peeking around. But it is one to kind of take your time in. But the thing that makes me think that free roam is sort of the gateway to a whole hell of a lot more is that Nintendo, I think, has got a massive DLC plan for this game. They've really crafted so much environment. You know, it's all based on sort of little magic pop-ups and the ability to kind of escalate with idea and imagination. And I think they're going to throw in all kind. I don't know, and I can't judge the game based on what I think Nintendo has got cooking. But based on how they over-delivered with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and how that game just kept selling and selling and selling and thrilling and entertaining people year after year, I mean, we still play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I'm sure we're going to go back to it after we want to take a little break from Mario Kart World. But I think Nintendo is definitely going to be looking at where they can extend Mario Kart World, and I'm excited to see where that goes. I'm also excited to continue playing with my family and to keep getting beat by my kid. You know, my kid grew up with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and we used to kind of take it a little bit easy on her when she started, and now she kills us. She kills my wife and I. She comes in first, and she kind of stomps around, and yeah, you know, like she gets into it, and it's been amazing to kind of have this game there and watch her skills just grow and grow. And so she's already been kicking our butts in Mario Kart World, and I'm excited to kind of keep that challenge alive as well. But I think this game is crazy fun. I don't think it's as lose yourself for 200 hours and say goodbye to everybody that you know in your life like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was for Nintendo Switch 1, which was an incredible experience. It was also a little bit isolating, although my daughter joined me for much of that experience, and I did play a lot with Johnny Millennium as well. This is really meant to socialize the experience. It's fun to play by yourself, but it escalates into magic fun if you play with other people. That's what this game is all about. And it's also a showcase for game chat as well, being able to pop in your camera and to, you know, chat with each other as you're playing the game and to challenge each other and smack talking and just have fun with this in a group. I think this was just incredibly smart on Nintendo's part. I think that this is the Mario Kart World generation for Nintendo, and we're going to be talking about this game for years and years to come. I think it is a killer app for Nintendo Switch 2. I also think there's a lot of familiarity in the experience. I don't know if the Grand Prix mode is as satisfying and as continuously surprising as Grand Prix modes in previous Mario Kart games have been, especially with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But that Knockout Tour mode, man, oh my God, that is just sensational. So yes, this is a killer app. Is it my favorite Mario Kart game? I still think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is, but I think that's really about all of the extra goodies that Nintendo delivered over the years. If I was just looking at the base version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Mario Kart World, this would take it, and I can't wait to see where Nintendo takes this game from here. So I'm going to give Mario Kart World as a launch experience a 9 out of 10.
The Mario Kart franchise has come a long way since 1992. The N64 game dominated 90s parties, Double Dash had 2 characters per kart, the 8th game gave us anti-gravity. This Nintendo Switch 2 launch game has given us an interconnected open world of racing. This is Mario Kart World for the Nintendo Switch 2. While the concept is still characters from the Mushroom Kingdom racing as always, this 9th game adds the idea of all the tracks being in the same world. It establishes that the characters can drive from Peach Beach to Bowser's Castle without needing to teleport or take a plane or spaceship. It's a concept that opens up Mario Kart to big possibilities, and Nintendo brilliantly seized this opportunity. As a launch title for Nintendo's brand new 4K portable console, this game sets high expectations for what we all hope to see more of from this system. With the smooth animations, solid frame rate without an ounce of slowdown, and a world that shines brightly in glorious 4K resolution, Mario Kart has never looked better. All the colors and lighting are very eye-catching and dynamic, which only adds to the appeal of racing. Sound quality is about the same as last gen's Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. All the characters have about as many wacky voice blurbs to make every moment more animated. Then there are the cartoony sound effects working with the jazzy music to make every race a swinging good time. When I play most Mario Kart games, I go straight for a versus race, but it was while playing the Grand Prix that I discovered something. In the Grand Prix and optionally for versus, the last 3 out of 4 races are actually getting through the world from the last track to the next track, and the last lap or two being on the track itself. This is a new layer of racing thrill that adds new elements to a typical 3-lap race around a track, allowing the open world to be included in the main racing instead of just as an optional distraction. It's cool to see how the world around you slowly changes from your last track to the current one, and before you know it, you're going full speed through the next track. In between tracks, you can grab food bags along the way, each representing meals from different countries, and looking dangerously delicious on the NS2. This food gives you a boost like a mushroom and a new costume for your racer. But these are purely aesthetic things. A lot of them are good, but there are some boring ones too. I just wish everyone had a Halloween costume, but only Waluigi gets to be a vampire. As you can tell from this roster, there are a lot of characters to race as, including unlockable characters. Somehow, even after MK8, Nintendo surprised me with some of the characters they turned into racers, like a crab, a penguin, and of course the one everyone's excited for, the cow. At this point, any character in a Mario game has the potential to be a Mario Kart racer. They didn't include any characters from outside the Mario universe, but knowing Nintendo, that can change at any time. I'm sure soon enough we'll get Pikachu and Fox McCloud racing through here. The tracks themselves are very well designed, as we come to expect. Many are remakes of tracks from past Mario Kart games, even if they're not officially labeled as such. They've added some great additions to old favorites to only improve upon what was already good. Wait until you see this game's Rainbow Road. My favorite track though is easily the Boo Cinema. Nintendo must have been inspired by Bones' horror video store and drive-in to make this one. By the way, tell Bones I plugged in his business so he'll stop bugging me about it. But even with the superb designs of the tracks, they've made other changes due to what Nintendo didn't bring over for Mario Kart 8. Gone are the mechanics of anti-gravity and underwater racing. In their place is your kart being able to float on water like a hovercraft, and for the first time being able to skid on rails as a new form of drift boost. So you can pull some sick tricks, man!
Well, you must be very proud of yourself.
Most importantly, everything still controls well. Some new items are also introduced, such as Hammer Bros hammers and a golden Koopa shell. That's always great to see in a new Mario Kart game, but the option to customize which items are active is also gone. Honestly, that's a big disappointment for multiplayer. It allowed you to really make your races or battles go all kinds of crazy ways with your friends. If Nintendo is watching this, I strongly suggest you bring back that MK8 feature. From the main menu, you can start free roam and explore this whole racing world with any character. It's not just a chance to practice the tracks at your own pace to know them thoroughly, but you can also take on bonus challenges in the world for stickers. These are great ways to test your Mario Kart skills in a way outside of straightforward racing, even if they're really just for achievements. But it is really cool to drive all around these themed areas how you want to without fear of losing anything like most open world games. There's not even falling damage in this world. It's a lot like LEGO 2K Drive, even to the point that some structures like fences can actually be knocked over. I think this is the first time Mario Kart has actually experimented with destructible environments. When I got to battle mode, it had me concerned at first, because when I played the first 2 arenas, they were really just tracks. I thought, oh no, did Nintendo go back to this because of their open world concept? But my fears were quickly squashed when I played the rest of the arenas because they're actual arenas and they're very well made for Mario Kart Battle Mode Mayhem. Right now the game only has Balloon Battle and Coin Runners, but I'm hopeful that Nintendo will eventually add Shine Thief and Bomb-On Blast. Although, I can't help but wonder how Nintendo will make DLC tracks work if all the tracks are supposed to be connected in a giant open world. I'm sure they'll find a way. Knockout mode brings a new survival of the fittest flair to racing. It's one long track that eliminates those who don't meet the threshold of each checkpoint. This mode almost feels needed with the game having 24 racers playing at once, the most Mario Kart has ever done. Even playing online this is the case. Yes, all the forms of multiplayer are present and accounted for here. Online matches are easy to find and they play flawlessly with no lag, which again is amazing considering that these servers are keeping up the high quality graphics while supporting 24 racers from all over the world in one race. Whatever Nintendo did to accomplish this, keep doing it. Mario Kart World is the perfect launch title for the Nintendo Switch 2. If you bought the system but not this game yet, you should definitely get it. If you're still on the fence about the Switch 2 and you think you'll eventually buy it, make sure you buy it with this larger-than-life Mario Kart game.
What is up, everybody? It is the True Epic Gamer here, and it is officially that time. Mario Kart World has been out for almost 3 weeks now, and at this point most people who own a Switch 2 have had plenty enough time to give it a real shot. Even those who don't have one have watched enough YouTube videos to form their own opinion on the game. And let's just say the community is very divided on this one. I made a video recently covering some of the flaws in Mario Kart World, and the comments absolutely blew up. Seriously, 3,000 comments is insane. Everyone had something to say. Some people in a nice way, others not so much. But one thing became really clear looking at those comments. A lot of players feel like Nintendo dropped the ball with this one. And I kept seeing the same thing pop up over and over. People saying they're going back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, calling it the better game and the only real way to play traditional Mario Kart on the Switch. Now, before everybody jumps on me in the comments, let's be real, you probably already typed out that hate comment. Just remember, I'm just one guy with one opinion. But in that video, you all had plenty to say as well. First off, I want to say thank you to everybody who watched that video. It passed 130,000 views and has almost 5,000 likes, which is absolutely insane. Obviously, I can't talk about every single comment since there's 3,000 of them, but I do want to take a look at a couple of them that really stood out. Let's take a look at a few comments that actually inspired me to make this video. A ton of you made it really clear that you think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is the better game. Some of you straight up said you're not going to buy World because 8 is that much better, and a few of you even have World and ended up switching back to 8 anyway. So what's the big deal? Is Mario Kart World really that bad? And is it really that much worse than Mario Kart 8? Well, yes and no. There are some things that Mario Kart World was always going to lose at. For one, it obviously couldn't launch with over 100 tracks like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now, but honestly, I don't see a lot of people complaining about that. What people are really mad about, myself included, are the fundamentals of the game. The biggest change? Nintendo basically shoved the classic 3-lap system format to the side and replaced it with this strange system where you drive a 2-lap highway, intermission is what a lot of people want to call it, and then you do a single lap on the actual track. If you've seen my other videos, I probably sound like a broken record at this point, but that just doesn't make any sense. It completely ruins the Grand Prix experience in single player, since there's no way to just race a normal 3-lap race. And it ruins online as well, because the only way to get a standard race is if everybody picks random and you get lucky and it lands on somebody that picked random. Otherwise, you end up doing the intermission tracks, the highways, the slow, long, wide open tracks you keep seeing in other people's videos. These changes alone make Mario Kart 8 Deluxe feel like the better experience, and I don't blame anybody for switching back. The next biggest complaint I've seen you guys talk about is the 24-player races and how they actually make the game worse. At first, 24 racers I thought actually sounded pretty cool, like it might turn up the classic Mario Kart chaos that we all love, and it does do that, but in the worst way imaginable. With 24 players crammed on a single track, the game doing everything it can to keep everybody close together, it just turns into a stampede. You've got 23 players bumping into each other non-stop, and maybe one guy who's ahead of the pack staying out front until the very end when somebody in 4th place uses a ridiculously overpowered item and then just rockets into 1st. And that's pretty much what happens every single race, and that's just comes with this 24-player races. with all the rubber banding, the flood of items that everyone has, and how much pure luck it takes to win, it just doesn't feel skill-based anymore. And I'm not the only one saying this. Tons of players have mentioned they just want the option to race with 12 players again. And until that happens, this is just one more reason people are going to go back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, or just not buy Mario Kart World altogether. But the number one reason most people are sticking with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you guessed it, it's simple, it's money. Let's break it down. First, you gotta buy a brand new console for $450. Then Mario Kart World is another $80 if you can't get the bundle. So you're looking at over $530 just to play a Mario Kart game that you might not even like as much as the one that you already own. And that 10-year-old game, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, it has over 100 tracks, a huge character roster, kart customization, 12-player races, and the classic 3-lap system that we all grew up with. When you stack it all up, it's pretty obvious why so many people are sticking with Mario Kart 8. Why pay more for less content? But let's not make this video completely one-sided. There are definitely a few things Mario Kart World does better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. First off, the visuals. I know some people will say that the design is better in MK8, but honestly, it's subjective and it's opinion based. But at the end of the day, Mario Kart World in 4K looks pretty incredible, and I personally think it's a step up visually from Mario Kart 8. Then there's the new rail grinding and wall riding mechanics. Easily some of the best additions that we've ever gotten in a Mario Kart game. These actually add a huge skill gap, which is something that can make this game fun forever, and it will be very, very hard to master. If you don't believe me, go watch some of the time trials and check out the insane shortcuts that people are pulling off with these new mechanics. It'll give you some serious Mario Kart Wii vibes. And finally, we've got to mention the open world. Yes, I've criticized it before, and I still think it's completely bare bones and could have been way better than it is. But at the same time, it's still something cool that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe doesn't have. Just being able to drive around freely and explore something outside of just the usual races is a nice little bonus. So, what do you guys think? Is Mario Kart World worth the upgrade, and does it live up to the hype? Or is it a little bit of a letdown and you think you'll just stick with Mario Kart 8? Let me know in the comments. I'll be trying to reply to everybody at least one time. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, peace.
Mario Kart has long been one of Nintendo's most consistent and important franchises, but the reign of Mario Kart 8, spanning 2 console generations and more than a decade, truly solidified how their 30-plus-year-old kart racing series is on the short list of games that appeal to virtually anyone. After running continuous victory laps for Mario Kart 8 throughout the Switch's lifespan, Nintendo's Switch 2 answer to that game is to kick off the console with Mario Kart World, a game that is seemingly all vibes. This is a video game that is meant for every player that might possibly pick up a Switch 2. Whether you're a hardcore snake and mini turbo drifter aiming for 200cc online dominance, or a lackadaisical player who just wants to fire off some green shells and enjoy the rhythm of races with friends. Mario Kart World ends up sometimes being a jack of all trades, master of none situation, but as folks will remind you, as the full saying goes, being a jack of all trades is oftentimes better than being a master of one. The new movement options during races are a key example of this, as the toolset for what you can do to boost and get ahead has multiplied. You can grind on rails for a boost and even do a boost jump when you're on straightaways. Wall riding can even be done in tandem with some of these to add even more shortcut potential and boosting options. The possible pathways through courses can almost be dizzying. Sometimes makes it a mild shame that a lot of the courses don't follow the classic linear 3-lap structure, because the ever-changing way forward is sometimes hard to plan out your movements when it's constantly changing. However, that shift in how courses are laid out is part of one of the coolest parts of the entire game that truly leans into the world subtitle. Every single course is functionally a part of an overworld map that you can roam around outside of the context of a race. It's a clever hook that also ties into my sincere belief that Mario Kart World is all vibes. Because going from race to race and noticing the clever and ingenious interconnectivity of the track is extremely neat. The excellent vibes are elevated even higher with the bonkers amazing soundtrack, filled with hundreds of renditions of classic Mario songs in a variety of music styles. Yes, there is ska music. Sometimes it's just fun to drive around and listen to the tunes. The open world part flows into the single-player missions, which were my great hope for Mario Kart World. Sadly, my longtime dream of an in-depth and novel solo component in a Mario Kart game, and not realized here. But after spending a lot of time in World's free roam mode, I've rethought what I'm even looking for. I'm looking for vibes, and as I've said multiple times already, that's what this game is, it's all vibes. The free roam mode just throws you into the world and gives you little to no guidance. It's kind of frustrating at first. I didn't really know what to make of it when I first dug into it. The courses are generally where the action is, filled with hidden question mark block tiles that, when collected, just add stickers that you can put on your cart. All over the world are P-switches, which lead to one-off missions, and Peach medallions, which are usually in hard-to-reach spots, and the challenge is to figure out how to get there. Both of those, when collected, just add stickers that you can put on your cart. When it all set in that was kind of all of you got, I was a little disappointed. But then I played more of it, and it all kind of kicked into place. Mario Kart World is for everyone. It's not meant to be Diddy Kong racing with boss battles and a story. It's not meant to be dripping with percentages and level ups. It's just meant to be a racing game that you mess around with in the way that you enjoy the most. I've seen my young kids love this game, I've seen my adult friends enjoy this game, I've seen grandparents enjoy this game. Do I wish that all of these overworld elements had clearer objective tracking and more tangible rewards? Sure, but I've settled on not thinking that that's really a bad thing. The act of playing is the fun here, and that's been enough for me across many hours, and likely many more. If there's one part where the free roam loses the plot, it's by not offering any kind of split screen option, aside from a low-key hack in the local wireless lobby. The fact that players can't explore the world together with multiple kart racers tooling around at once is a huge miss. It takes what could be a premier game chat hangout session and turns it into relative solitaire. There's also the minimap for the free roam that is okay but not great, and also somehow doesn't turn off when you turn it off in the options. It's bad for people who get motion sick by it. But even with these issues, it's still fun to roam around the world and see the sights, occasionally collecting a sticker or 15 along the way. Aside from free roam, the modes you expect to find in a Mario Kart game are all there. You got your Grand Prix, you got your Versus, you got your online, you got your battle. They all do what you want them to do. Online runs well, it's very easy to get into. Not a problem with lag or anything. Battle is good enough. Say kind of my love affair with the battle mode in Mario Kart has dipped over the years, but this one, it's fine. It's not messed up like Mario Kart 8 was on Wii U, it's just totally fine. The new mode added to the assortment is Knockout Tour, which features different course arrangements and orders than Grand Prix, and tweaks the rules by having the race start with the game's normal assortment of 24 racers, before requiring you to be a certain place at different intervals to stay in the race until the very end, when the final four have to compete for the top spot. It can be electric in a different manner than normal Mario Kart races are. I haven't had the experience of doing this with a full assortment of 23 other people that I know, but I can only imagine the friendships ruined over the fraught competition. The other collectibles besides the stickers are carts, characters, and costumes. Cart pieces are a thing of the past, taking another step forward into simplifying the game for the massive audience. Instead, you just unlock carts by collecting coins. Characters are unlocked by completing Grand Prix cups. Costumes are found by eating takeout while driving. Various diners and food trucks are nestled throughout the world and the courses, each with a different type of dish. Those dishes all unlock different costumes for characters, but not all characters have robust costume options. It's just bonkers to me that Donkey Kong only has 2 costumes, Shy Guy has 3, and Koopa Troopa has 6, but somehow the dude with a brand new video game coming out next month only has 2 out of the gate. That all being said, the Vampire Waluigi costume and Aristocrat King Boo are maybe 2 of the funniest things I've seen in a video game in a while. They're only outdone by the Mad Max gear Wario and Waluigi put on one of their outfits. In addition to the 24 main characters, you can also race as an array of random enemies and NPCs, such as a Goomba, a cow, or a charging Chuck. These are very goofy, especially when you see a dolphin driving a cart, maybe a cataquack or two. But the way they unlock is wildly random, dependent on an item pickup to be used by someone else to briefly turn you into one of those characters, thus unlocking them for use. Aspects of Mario Kart World might still feel rough around the edges, but the vibes are immaculate. This isn't the single player aspect I've been wanting for all these years, but it's a wonderfully chill option I didn't expect. I don't believe Mario Kart World needs a rigid structure tracking every single P-switch or Peach medallion that you come across. This game is best experienced as a playground, not an obstacle course, even if the mayhem that unfurls on the racetrack is rife with obstacles. I'm looking forward to regularly playing Mario Kart World as a staple of the Switch 2 library over the ensuing years. It's playful and fun in all the best ways.
Mario Kart World!
It's time for the Mario Kart World review for the Nintendo Switch 2. So here we go, my first review on Nintendo's newest console. I wanted to review something special and release it on this date, and I think this is a great choice because today is my 16th anniversary review. Thank you again to everyone who supported my channel, and I hope you enjoy this review. Let's go! So what is Nintendo going to do with its best racing franchise, since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, including all its DLC, is nearly a perfect racer? Well, they sure like to come up with new ways to play, and this game is no exception. To begin with, we have the standard Grand Prix, which includes 4 tracks in a set. When you finish a race, you receive points relative to how you placed in that race, and whoever has the most points at the end of the cup wins. This is very standard, and I don't think there's anyone who's played at least one Mario Kart game before will be unfamiliar with this. There's a big twist in this game though. Normally, you begin the next course as business as usual, but in Mario Kart World, you begin on the previous track, but then take a different route that leads you to the next course, and you treat this transition track like a normal race. This part counts as multiple segments of the entire course itself, and when you finally reach the actual next track, you only race for 1 lap before you're finished. I'm not too sure I like this. These intermission tracks are interesting and definitely different, but I don't think I really like only playing 1 lap on the track you're racing towards. I think it should be at least 2 laps, but I honestly wouldn't mind 3 like normal. The quality, shall we say, of the intermission tracks isn't the same as an actual course. It's hard to describe why, but I think the most concrete reason is because most of these intermission tracks are too much like a straight line, which can feel a little boring. Sure, there are some bends and curves, and there's lots of different elements, hazards, and even different areas to race on, but compare this to a normal track and you can feel the difference, and ultimately I like the traditional tracks better. It'll of course be a matter of personal preference on whether someone likes this new style or not. As for me, honestly, I kind of wish it was the classic design with more levels instead of intermission tracks. Sure, it's really cool how all the courses connect on one giant map, but maybe it's because I'm so used to the don't fix what's not broken Mario Kart formula that it's making me wish it was more like the classic style. It's not bad, and it's overall fun, but at the same time, it's very difficult to disconnect your bias with the former games when playing this. The courses themselves are great with lots of spectacle, different routes to take, and some of them are quite huge, which just makes it better. Some are brand new, with others being from past titles, but with new updates to give them a fresh look and feel. The newest and most notable mechanic in the game is now you can grind on rails and wall ride pretty much anywhere that's available to do so. Many rails allow you to simply ride up to them, but some require you to jump on them. To do this, you can hold down the drift button without touching the control stick to build up sparks, and releasing it will let you perform a small jump. It'll also net you a small mini turbo, and it's a neat addition, but honestly, I don't really think about doing it that often. It's going to take quite a bit of practice in memorizing the courses before I can begin to really utilize this technique to its fullest. The game offers 2 brand new modes, with the first being Knockout Tour. In this mode, you race through 6 courses, each with their own intermission tracks, but the catch is you must place a minimum ranking in order to keep going. The first checkpoint lets anyone who places 20th or higher to continue racing, but each progressive checkpoint lowers the threshold, which adds to the challenge. You can never let your guard down because 1 second you could be in first, and getting hit just once can send you back 15 spots in a matter of seconds. I really like the appeal of this mode, and I think it'll be my go-to more than the traditional races. The second new mode is Free Roam. From the main menu, you can quickly and seamlessly transition right into it with just a press of a button. It wouldn't be called Free Roam if you couldn't go pretty much anywhere, and that's exactly what you can do. Well, to an extent. There are a few places where Lakitu will bring you back if you go too far. When I first saw Free Roam from the trailer, I was a bit confused. Why does Mario Kart need to be open world? Well, there's not much racing involved, but there are many micro missions to complete and collectibles to find. I can see this mode not being very popular among those who don't really care about completionist gameplay, and overall, I think Free Roam is just okay. You can also use this time to use the photo mode to take some cool looking shots. Driving around searching for missions and collectibles can be fun, but it's not something I'm super interested in. A compass could have helped, and maybe even a radar of sorts that lets you know when P-switches are nearby, and being able to play 2-player in this mode could have helped a lot. When racing on the intermission tracks, you'll find golden fast food bags called Dash Food available to pick up. Using it like an item will give your character a speed boost, but if you're a certain character, you might unlock a new costume for them. Not all characters have different costumes, which was quite disappointing. I thought it would have been funny if Cow had a burger costume. The graphics look fantastic, as the game runs in 2K and 60 FPS when docked, and I didn't experience any frame rate dips. Some areas really shine with HDR turned on, and even my personal opinion of desert-themed levels having a boring aesthetic look good. The controls are pretty much the same as in other Mario Kart games, except for the aforementioned manual jumps you can perform. The drifting felt a bit different though, coming from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'll get used to it, and unlocking the many different karts and bikes will help. Speaking of, you can unlock different characters just by playing the game normally, but other characters can be unlocked with the help of Kamek. Using his crystal ball item, you and many other racers can temporarily turn into a different character. This will unlock the character you've turned into if you don't already have them on your roster. The Kamek item will usually also summon different hazards to the track, so watch out. Some other notable items are the Golden Shell, which when shot will travel forward and leave coins behind for you and others to pick up, and will explode into a circle of coins when it's finished. The Feather returns from Super Mario Kart on the SNES, which lets you perform a super jump, good for reaching high places and dodging shells that are about to get you. The Mega Mushroom returns from Mario Kart Wii, which is always a fun item, and several veteran items have been adjusted, for better or worse, like the Bullet Bill, which isn't as fast as it used to be, and the Lightning Bolt, which doesn't last nearly as long as it used to. Dodging blue shells is still a thing, thank goodness. I noticed a few differences in the gameplay compared to previous titles. If you just barely clip a car on the road, you won't crash completely and will just slow you down for a bit. Another is jumping on these cars and other racers is now a thing, which can give you a slight boost, and there's a rewind function that lets you rewind a few paces back, which is an interesting feature, but I've yet to find much use for it. Other standard modes return, such as time trials and a couple battle modes. Nothing too special, but it's here, which is appreciated. This is quite different from previous Mario Kart titles. On the one hand, it's nice to see something new with the intermission tracks, but at the same time, I feel like Nintendo is forcing a new way to play just for the sake of it when it probably didn't need it to begin with. The initial number of tracks is kind of disappointing, especially if you're used to all 96 courses in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But I don't think it's too fair to compare this. The intermission tracks could be labeled as courses in and of themselves, but the actual tracks are more fun in general. Free roam is interesting, although it can be a bit dull if you don't care about completing micro missions and collecting things. I really like Knockout Tour, and online mode can get pretty hectic, seeing how you can now have up to 24 racers at once. Overall, I think it's going to take me some time to get used to the new gameplay and mechanics this game offers. It's not a bad game by any means, but if you have tons of hours from previous Mario Kart titles, you'll need to have an open mind and know that there's a significant difference going in. If you're ready for a new way to experience Mario Kart, this game is it. This game gets a 4.25 out of 5 with the title of Awesome.
How do you outdo Mario Kart 8? By the time the legendary kart racer game reached the end of its decade-plus life in 2025, it had achieved what can convincingly be argued to be the peak of the kart racer template and has since dominated over the last few decades. Mario Kart 8 has always had phenomenally strong mechanics and track design. Its biggest shortcomings was always content and modes. By the time Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was wrapping up, it had more content than any other game in the genre, while having those top-notch mechanics that, even a decade later, are unmatched. So where do you go from there? How do you top that. According to Nintendo, you don't. And that's why they have chosen to go in a completely different direction, and rather than simply giving us a new Mario Kart game in the same format and template as the old ones, just with a new set of tracks, Mario Kart World is different. It doesn't even attempt to take on the challenge of topping the legacy of its predecessor, instead attempting to forge its own identity. This is evident across nearly every facet of the game. There's that much vaunted interconnected open world that every track in the game is set in, and which can be explored in a completely freeform, free roam mode. Then there's the new Knockout Tour mode, which essentially turns Mario Kart into a battle royale meets cross-country rally, which sees players race from track to track in sequence, while the players coming in below a certain rank getting eliminated each time. Even the returning modes have changed. Grand Prix now has you race to your next track after the completion of the previous one and then directly join in the next race. Meanwhile, Battle Mode is now timed. And even the way things play out on the track and in the world are different, with Mario Kart World embracing physics-governed interactions and collisions, and adding a rail grinding and wall running, and all the ways they open up track designs and interactions. And yes, it's a lot. It's still fundamentally a kart racer because that's what it is, but within the framework of that genre, it's as much a reinvention as it is possible for it to be. A lot of its big bets are tied directly to the eponymous world. Now every single track takes place within this same interconnected world, meaning every single track is now a real place within that world. Mario Kart 8 has hinted at a much larger world beyond the tracks that we're limited to, providing only tantalizing glimpses at best. And now we get to see all of it, and it's great. The bump to immersion, atmosphere, and sense of place that the contextualization of these tracks as real places within the world can provide is excellent. I don't want to get into too many because a big part of it is the delight of the surprise at realizing how a track fits into the world as you play. But seeing fan favorite GameCube track Dino Dino Jungle reimagined as a Jurassic Park style theme park, or finding Wario's shipyard reimagined as a sunken galleon in the middle of a stormy sea really contributes to how compelling these tracks can feel. And it also helps that Mario Kart World is a beautiful game with excellent presentation, much like Mario Kart 8 was. The game is vibrant, lively, colorful, and full of an abundance of personality. The animations and character interactions are highly stylized now, lending the proceedings an incredible sense of tangible charm. As impressive as the tracks can look, however, they wouldn't particularly hold up to scrutiny if the track design itself was lacking. The last few Mario Kart games, DS, Wii, 7, and 8, all had incredible, excellent track design, to the extent that the bulk of their tracks have since appeared in subsequent games. World has a lot to live up to in that regard, and it largely succeeds. While I'm not yet sure any track achieves the highs that the best tracks of Mario Kart 8 did, barring maybe one or two, they are still excellent and easily in the same tier of quality as the other 4 games that we just mentioned. A lot of this is because of the additions of rail grinding and wall jumping, as well as all of the possibilities for chaining tricks and boosts that they afford. Every track seems to be designed with multiple layers and levels, with a lot of high reward shortcuts to spice things up further. The theming of the tracks is also top notch, which of course further contributes to and gains from the contextualization of these tracks in the world, and allows the developers to allow for some truly unique and fresh takes on a Mario Kart track. But apart from the bespoke flagship tracks that you will actually be racing on, there are also roads and routes that connect all of them together. This is significant not just for the free roam mode, which we'll get into in here in a bit, but in actual races. In a Grand Prix, for example, once you finish a race, the next race is not simply you racing on the next track. Instead, the next race is you starting from the last track, making your way to the next track, racing everyone else along the way, while also weaving through traffic, pedestrians, and other similar hazards, with the final part of the race then being a lap around the next track. Now, this can be a divisive change. There's an argument to be made that reducing the time spent racing on the actual crafted tracks to just one lap, with the rest of the races being on the in-between roads, detracts from what the genre has traditionally been strong at, and is a reasonable stance to take. On the other hand, I find myself greatly enjoying this new structure because the open world is persistent. The in-between parts are almost never the same, with weather, traffic, and other such conditions changing constantly and allowing for a level of dynamic, emergent gameplay. And while I understand the desire for the classic Grand Prix format, the good thing is that the game does still allow for that. A custom cup, complete with point tracking, can be set up in the Versus mode, which doesn't have the in-between segments, and just has you race around the tracks for 3 laps, one after the other. Where the in-between segments really come to life is the Knockout Tour mode. This essentially has you race across different parts of the map, going through multiple tracks in quick succession, and the parts in between. After every segment of this one mega race is completed, a portion of players who came in under a threshold are eliminated until the pool gets smaller and smaller. This mode is extremely fun, extremely tense, and extremely chaotic, amplifying not just the party game side of the Mario Kart equation with the emergent chaos that it allows for, but also simultaneously rewarding the skilled or competitive player by truly rewarding those who can shave off seconds off of their completion times, whether it be through judicious use of items, track memorization, and knowing where the shortcuts are, or simply being able to chain together drifts and tricks to get your own boosts as and when you need them. It's incredibly fun. Arguably, it's the most fun mode of the entire game. With every single thing Mario Kart World goes for, the track design, the tracks being placed in the world, the physics-based interactions, the open world itself, all coming together and working in unison to great effect. Every mode in the game benefits from how fantastically well the game controls. The incredibly precise, responsive, and tight game feel, which allowed an astonishing degree of microcontrol to skilled players while remaining instantly accessible to everyone else, that's returned, but it's been expanded and amplified. Drifting, while of course still important, has been de-emphasized as the central mechanic now, with the game balancing that out by sprinkling loads of possibilities for players to chain together their own boosts as and when they need them. From traffic and hazards that can provide a boost to all sorts of possibilities for chaining together a lot of tricks in the guise of the rail grinding and wall jumping. The item balance appears to be remarkably restrained as well, in spite of the increased player count, 24 players per race now, up from 12 in Mario Kart Wii and 8 players in all other games. Every item also has enough viable counters, be they in the form of other items, or the track design, or skilled players pulling off tricks that allow them to avoid inconvenient items launched at them. Of course, for players who want the ability to enjoy driving around without worrying about losing to other players, there is the free roam mode, which is exactly what it says on the tin. At any point, you can pull up the map, select a point on it, and start driving around freely in any direction. The barriers and guardrails that limit your movement during races are all gone now, and you can truly explore the world. It's at this point that it becomes evident how well designed the world is. It's extremely layered, allowing for a lot of opportunities for players to have fun while driving, satisfying to explore, and has a lot of things to find. This is the sort of mode that's likely to be especially popular with younger and more casual audiences. It's extremely chill, with a total lack of structure, just letting you drive wherever you like with no pressure, and emphasizing a lot of the kind of emergent gameplay and interactions that World is good at, and giving the exact kinds of rewards that will compel exploration, whether those be new costume unlocks for your favorite characters, or new stickers to customize your cart with. This isn't to say that more engaged players can't enjoy it. I really came around to liking it, and I've spent hours just going around the world simply because of how chill, meditative, and compelling it can be. What can be its greatest shortcoming, however, is that aforementioned lack of structure, because I do mean there is a total lack of structure. There's no story, no campaign, no objective markers, no cutscenes, no tutorials, not even introductory dialogue framing things for you. You literally just get put into the world and start driving around. This could be off-putting and positively disappointing, particularly after how other racing games over the years, such as the Forza Horizon games, have used their open worlds to allow for substantial single-player campaigns in addition to their traditional arcade racing gameplay. It can feel meandering and pointless to a fault, Certainly, at least at first, I was struggling to wrap my head around how to engage with it. Eventually, it does click. As I said, it's a sandbox and you're supposed to go exploring yourself, driven by your own curiosity. Once you do, it turns out that the world does have things in it. In addition to finding and unlocking costumes and stickers as previously mentioned, there are also collectibles all across the map, hidden question block panels, and perhaps most importantly for those looking for structure and objectives, missions. So yes, there are missions in Mario Kart World's open world. They are completely uncontextualized, but finding P-switches dotted all around the map, you unlock missions for yourself. These can be anything from races to time trial challenges to challenges that make you use specific tricks or techniques, ones that make you avoid obstacles, ones that make you run into obstacles, and a whole lot more. Generally speaking, these are bite-sized. That said, there are a dizzying number of them to find, at least over 100, and there might even be more. Suffice it to say, you're not going to lack things to do in this world. But the very unstructured and free roam way that you find and engage with it may certainly come as a disappointment to you, and I can't hold that against you if it does. One thing that is likely to endear the free roam mode to a lot of longtime fans of Mario Kart 8 is also what is one of the game's greatest strengths, its soundtrack. Most of these tracks can only be heard in the free roam mode, where they play seemingly randomly as you explore. Honestly, this soundtrack is an absolute vibe. Simply going around driving through the world looking for P-switches, weaving through traffic, chaining tricks together, enjoying the weather while the music playing can be extremely compelling. It also helps that the actual mechanics and world design are as strong as they are, of course, but the music really pulls its weight, and then some. What a soundtrack this is. Mario Kart World is an extremely ambitious game, and it seems to have made it a personal challenge to rethink practically every aspect. So not all of these bets work out. The free roam mode in particular is likely going to be divisive amongst those who expected more structure. And while I imagine the Grand Prix and battle mode changes will be largely well received, there will certainly be some that are disappointed. But almost everything else, from the new mechanics to the new tracks, from the excellent graphics to the amazing soundtrack, from the knockout tour mode to the more physics-driven emergent style of gameplay, that's a home run. Whether or not Mario Kart World is better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a question that will be answered in due time. But for now, we can at least say that in attempting to avoid having to answer that question, Nintendo have turned out an extremely high-quality, polished, and fun package that almost anyone can enjoy in Mario Kart World.
The idea of a new Mario Kart being the showpiece of a new console launch is odd. Don't get me wrong, I adore the series and have pumped thousands of hours into it over the decades. It's a game everyone can enjoy and hop into, which is why it's a juggernaut. But for me, it's not the game to launch a console with unless it's paired with something meatier. On Switch 2, Mario Kart World has to be the snack and the main meal. When you first load up Mario Kart World, you'd be forgiven for thinking that very little has changed since Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. A set of familiar options sit in front of you. Dig deeper and more will be revealed, but there's no obvious sign of this open world we've seen in trailers and been pointed to by the game's title. It's suspiciously not made a big deal of. There are in fact various ways to get to the open world, including pressing the plus button when on the main menu, but it's not shouted about like I expected it to be, which is odd given how it really ties all of Mario Kart World together. As well as the much discussed free roam mode, Mario Kart offers a classic Grand Prix mode, a staple of the series from day dot, except there's not much classic about it this time. In Mario Kart World, Grand Prix could have just as easily been called Road Trip. Each cup is split into 4 tracks, but the key difference here is how one track leads into another. The first track plays out as you might expect, starting in the grid and then racing around a set number of laps. But then the world of Mario Kart World kicks in. Race 2 begins at the physical end of Race 1, and part of this race is the journey to the second track along the roads in the game's open world. It's fair to say that there's been a mixed reaction to this in the Mario Kart community. But I'm a big fan. You end up at the actual second track, which you whiz around before then moving on to the third track in exactly the same fashion. There's no doubt that the tracks are more visually appealing and sculpted than the roads that are dotted around the map, but that's not to say that there isn't an awful lot of fun to be had in these connecting moments. In fact, jump into an online race and you'll see almost immediately there's quite the skill gap forming already. Not only with knowing the best paths to take, but also how to drive them. Mario Kart has always felt quite superficially simple, but real ones who've been around this block before know there's a whole other world, this time quite literally, waiting to be explored that'll enable you to do things you wouldn't have thought possible. Part of this is down to the fact that Mario Kart World tells you very little. Yes, there's a menu option for help, which details the mechanics of pretty much everything, but who's going to spend time looking at that? If you aren't someone who reads instructions, you'll just figure things out as you go, including the rail grinding, wall riding, and numerous new power-ups. Time will determine the true standout stars of Mario Kart World's track offerings, but I already have a handful of favourites that I'm still learning the ins and outs of. Dino Dino Jungle is excellent, Airship Fortress never disappoints, and Great Block Ruins offers some top opportunities to show off your drifting. I won't spoil Rainbow Road, but it's a delight and something fans will adore. The only gripe, really, is how in the Grand Prix mode you spend very little time on these courses. Gliding makes a return from previous Mario Karts, although your kart springs actual wings this time, and water is raced over rather than under, like in Mario Kart 7 and 8, thanks to a jet ski transformation, which is a bit of a surprise the first time you drive into a body of water. As ever with Mario Kart, and I suppose with Nintendo games in general, there's more here than there initially seems. This is most true in the free roam mode. With the whole of the game's map to explore, this is akin to being blindfolded and then taken to a remote location and dumped out the side of the black van, but in a cute way, probably by people that offer chilled beverages and wore cravats. Don't go into Mario Kart World's free roam mode expecting something like Forza Horizon or really any open world game. It's not GTA Mushroom Kingdom. You have a map that shows the different areas and how many P-switch missions you've completed, the number of Peach coins collected, and the total number of question mark panels you've found, the latter being sorted by track if you delve in slightly further. That's it. Bluntly, it's not tracking these things in a way I find helpful. Some of this will come down to how you play free roam. I've messed about with my son playing wirelessly on 2 different consoles, and the rather lackadaisical nature of the world here works well. We zoom about, discover things to collect or missions to tackle, and then move on. Great. Idyllic even. But this isn't how I prefer to play when on my own. I want more defined stats and found completed P-switches marked on the map. To go one step further, the best open world racing games integrate everything into the world, be it races, missions, challenges, or collectibles. In Mario Kart World, you don't get this unified, bustling world to tackle as you wish, with the racing events being set in the world but not feeling like part of it. They're off in other menus. For me, it's snackable content rather than something I'd lose myself in. There's more though. Knockout Tour, an elimination style race that sees you compete continually along a set of roads and courses in the open world, is a real highlight of Mario Kart World. Although be prepared for some infuriating AI behaviour as you attempt to complete every rally on the hardest difficulties. Still, at 100cc or less, against the bots or ideally against real people online, this mode is a blast. There's a real thrill in the regular cuts to the amount of competitors taking part, those crossing checkpoints in a position below the displayed number being discarded as others continue on. This mode also sells the world aspect brilliantly, with each rally stretching across large portions of the map. Those of you with rage issues might want to think carefully before going on a knockout tour though, as it manages to pack in the series' now infamous moments of shenanigans to a degree I have never experienced before. In Mario Kart, you're never safe and cruising to a victory, as at any moment you could be shelled or attacked in another way, crushing your dreams of victory. Knockout Tour, with its stress-inducing eliminations, puts you through multiple moments like this in every rally, but the elation felt when winning is worth the misery of a last-second triple shell onslaught that somehow sends you from 5 seconds to victory to 8th place. Key to this, really, is that for every moment of near combustion, someone else is having the time of their lives. Mario Kart World, as ever, gives as much as it takes. Other multiplayer-centric modes include takes on the classic balloon battle, eliminate other competitors by popping their balloons, and coin runners, collect as many coins as you can. But I expect my long-term future in Mario Kart World, aside from noodling in free roam, is time trial. This is where I've always gravitated to, starting way back on Mario Kart 64 when I used to send in my best times to the magazines of the era. Showing your age there, Tom. Now we have online ghosts to compete against, so it's easier to learn the best techniques, but the level of dedication required to post great times is still the same. If you think you're good at Mario Kart World, it only takes a quick perusal of time trial to become rather humbled. I've picked up Mario Kart World at every possible moment since the Switch 2 released. It's a gloriously fun multiplayer romp of a game that is an essential purchase for late into the night, how did it get to 2 AM hilarity, but the nature of it being the main launch title still bothers me. Free roam had the potential, and probably still does depending on how Nintendo chooses to update the game, to consume me, but some rather typical Nintendo quirks mean it's at its best when dipping your toes in rather than going for a full-on drive. 4 out of 5, the coward 7 out of 10.
Mario Kart World!
You sure you don't want to do another take of that, Kevin? It sounds a little, yeah, I guess we can go with that. That's fine. Okay, sure. Mario Kart World is finally here. The first new major installment in the Mario Kart series in 11 years. The previous mainline console installment, Mario Kart 8, is straight up older than my YouTube channel. It's kind of been a while. Now, if you watched my review of the Minecraft movie, you might remember how my friend was invited to play the game early, while I had to sit outside twiddling my thumbs not playing it. Well, there's a happy ending to that story. I actually did get to play Mario Kart World early. One day early, in fact. I literally only played it like 6 hours before the rest of the world got to. You see, I went to New York City the day before the Switch 2 launched to hang out with this random white guy with glasses, where we filmed a video you may or may not see on his second channel at some point. And he also invited me to a special Mario Kart event Nintendo was holding outside their flagship New York store. It was a really fun time, and a great way to both experience Knockout Tour for the first time, and get a glimpse of how stunning the game looks on a 4K TV. Something I do not actually own, but I'm really glad Nintendo does, considering they're a bunch of starving indie devs. Speaking of which, there's obviously been a considerable amount of controversy related to the game's $80 standalone price tag. I personally didn't put that much thought into the matter because I got the bundle that offers the game at a discounted price of $50, and I feel like most people buying the Switch 2 at launch did that anyway. But I suppose this isn't going to be the only game bundled with the console forever, and eventually some people are going to have to make that pretty hefty purchase if they want to play this. So I figured instead of just pondering the obvious question of is it good or nah in regards to this game, since the answer is obviously yes, it is good at the very least, it might be more practical for future generations who find this video to hear my take on whether I think there's enough quality content to justify the $80 price tag. Even putting that question aside, I kind of just wanted to lay down the foundation of how I feel about it. So with all that said, let's talk some kart.
But first, a word for me in the real world. Check it out, it's a road, like in Mario Kart. They made it into a real thing, wow. Speaking of Mario Kart, now that I've made a pretty large purchase that I may or may not name right now, I better start budgeting. And if you've also made a rather large purchase recently and need help budgeting yourself, that's where Rocket Money comes in. It's an easy-to-use app that helps you save more and manage your money better. I love using Rocket Money to set budgets. You can use the app to create a customized budget in seconds. The app shows you where your money's going at all times and identifies top spending categories with insights on how you can stay within your budget better. Rocket Money will notify you about upcoming charges or when your balance is low to help you avoid overdrafts and late fees. And we gotta talk about how easy it is for Rocket Money to help you cancel unwanted subscriptions. Once you connect your bank account, Rocket Money identifies all your subscriptions in a single list. From there, you can select the ones you don't want anymore, and Rocket Money may be able to help you cancel with just a few steps. Go to rocketmoney.com/Schaffrillas or click the link in the description to get started for free. You can also unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/Schaffrillas. And now, back to the kart discussion.
Spoilers for the entirety of chapters 3 and 4, by the way. I'm gonna be talking about the plot details and the secret bosses, so Wait, no, I think I got my games mixed up. Hold on. I guess to start out, normal 3-lap versus races are as fun as ever. The addition of 24-player races makes for some really hectic shenanigans, and the sheer amount of grind rails and alternate pathways on so many of these courses make them ripe for some truly insane strats you can pull off. This is arguably the most exhilarating Mario Kart has ever felt to control. And much like Mario Kart 8, once you find a character and vehicle combination you like, it handles like a dream. I'm not going to delve too much into the courses, since obviously that's going to be its own video. But I will say, aside from a couple of expected duds in the retro department, I don't think any of the brand new courses are bad. They've all mostly got some cool stuff going on. Even if there's not too many that really get crazy with the theming, like the classics from series past, such as Music Park or Waluigi Pinball. Maybe that's because they're all supposed to fit into this consistent, interconnected world, but I don't know, that didn't stop them from including the giant ice cream course. Is that really meant to be a cohesive part of this world? Sky High Sundae is the only somewhat out of place exception though. Pretty much every other course fits really naturally into this interconnected map, and you get a feel for that through the intermissions where you drive from one course to another. And while the traditional 3-lap or 3-section gameplay of World is as sharp as ever, these intermissions are a bit more of a mixed bag. They are pretty cool the first few times you do them, but then they start to get old and samey since a lot of it is just driving in a straight line. Not all of it, there are turns here and there, but it's just not as interesting in terms of its design. It doesn't really hold a candle to the far more fun twists and turns of the well-designed normal courses. And just to be clear, I wouldn't call the intermissions unfun, just not nearly as fun as normal 3-lap Mario Kart. The problem is especially egregious because of how these intermissions affect the Grand Prix and the online. Grand Prix now consist of doing the first course in the cup like normal, 3 laps and all. Then you drive all the way to the next course in the intermission segment, and once you get to that course, you only get to do 1 lap on it. This is also true for the 3rd and 4th courses in the cup. So in the Flower Cup, for instance, you get to do 3 laps on Desert Hills, but then only 1 lap on Shy Guy Bazaar, Wario Stadium, and Airship Fortress. I mean, why would you want to ever play those courses more than once? Isn't Desert Hills all you need? Yeah, this really irks me, and I feel like it would be a little less egregious if you also did only 1 lap of the first course. But as is, it just kind of feels sloppy. I really wish you could just have an option to do the Grand Prix without intermissions, and that goes double for the regular online. It's set up just like Mario Kart 8, where you have an option between 3 courses and random. Except for some reason, most of the time, all 3 of the options you have to pick from online are intermissions. Very rarely will you get the option of a single regular 3-lap course, which is kind of insane to me. I don't hate the intermissions or anything, but the normal tried and true 3-lap versions of these courses are just way more fun to me. The fact that there's not even an option to enter a lobby that only has 3-lap courses as an option really puts a damper on this game's online compared to Mario Kart 8's. I got a ton of mileage out of just racing against strangers in 8 that I can't really see myself getting from World currently. In the main racing mode, that is. Pretty much all my problems with the intermissions completely go away when it comes to Knockout Tour, which seems to have emerged as the fan favorite mode of this game. It's basically a Mario Kart Battle Royale where you have to reach a certain placement in order to stay in the game. And damn, is it exhilarating. The fact that you keep going straight and never stop for breaks like you do in the Grand Prix suits this mode a lot better. It's fun, it's incredibly frantic. I kinda wish there was more than 8 routes to pick from, but otherwise, this absolutely rules. Do I prefer it over normal 3-lap races? Still no, but it's a hell of a lot better than just doing a single normal race on a straightaway intermission. Now onto the game's biggest new mode, Free Row. Wait, did I forget something? Oh yeah, Battle Mode. Guys, I hate to say it, but I think Battle Mode is washed again. Just 2 modes, Balloon Battle and Coin Runners. Yes, they took out Shine Thief, Bob-omb Blast, and Renegade Roundup. Also, for the most part, they just repurposed race courses for this mode. $80, by the way. Don't get me wrong, the race courses are nowhere near as egregious as they were in Wii U Mario Kart 8, but instead of being infuriating, these ones are just kinda depressing. It's nice that they're closed off, but they're still just too big for the most part. And the 2 actual returning battle courses, Big Donut and Thwomp Desert, aren't really that great or inspired picks. Oh wait, I'm sorry, this isn't Thwomp Desert from Mario Kart Wii. This is the completely brand new Chain Chomp Desert that just happens to have the same layout and music as Thwomp Desert. But this time, there's a chomp instead of a thwomp. Why are you guys so allergic to adding Mario Kart Wii retro battle maps? This is genuinely getting insane at this point. I will be fully transparent and admit that I haven't actually played nearly as much battle mode as I have the other modes, but that's honestly because it's just so boring to me. Apart from the weak maps, they brought back Elimination and Balloon Battle, which would be cool. You know, if the timer wasn't locked at 3 minutes with no option to turn it off or change it whatsoever, why are we regressing from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in this regard? $80! I can't even turn off the stupid fucking timer in battle mode, are you kidding me? It just feels like this mode is no longer a priority for Nintendo in the slightest, and they just keep bringing it back out of obligation. The only reason it was so fleshed out in 8 Deluxe was just because they had so much time on their hands from not having to design any new race courses. But clearly that was a fluke. Oh well, there is one more miscellaneous compliment I want to give this game, and that's its killer soundtrack. I think the new course themes need a bit more time to grow on me, but the free roam mode is littered with phenomenal remixes of so many classic Mario songs. They did a stellar job paying homage to Mario's entire history with this soundtrack. And it's cute how the song that plays at any given time in the overworld is completely random. It kind of evokes going on a road trip and listening to a playlist of your favorite songs the whole time. I just really wish there was a music player, or at the very least, if they could show what song is playing in the corner of the screen. Would that really be so hard? I say as someone who never tells you guys what music I'm playing at any given part of my videos. I don't know, what can I say? I like to keep you guessing. Anyway, now let's talk about free roam. This is the real big claim to fame Mario Kart World has over the previous entries. The fact that you can drive anywhere in these courses and Lakitu won't get on your ass about it. This is incredibly cool and ambitious of the team to try and pull off, and it's really commendable how much effort they put into crafting this living, breathing, fully explorable world. So I am really sorry when I say I find this mode kinda dull. There just isn't a whole lot to do aside from scour the world for these little question mark panels, peach medallions, and P-switches that activate neat little missions for you to complete. I like nabbing these, don't get me wrong, but they're not nearly compelling enough for me to want to spend hours trying to find them. It's a cute little diversion, but nothing more really. A large part of that is probably owed to how your rewards for getting all these are just little stickers to put on your cart. I can't even pretend to care about these, sorry. For a lot of people, the appeal of the open world isn't to earn rewards, but just to explore and vibe and see what every last inch of Moo Moo Meadows looks like. I can totally respect players who find satisfaction in that, and I can't deny that getting to explore open world versions of Airship Fortress or Toad's Factory is a pretty novel experience for a bit. Like I said, there was clearly a lot of effort put into the open world. It's not lazy in the slightest. I just personally needed more of an incentive to do stuff in it. There were no rewards for completing missions in Mario Kart DS, but those were found in a little self-contained drop-down menu for you to quickly zoom through, instead of scattered through this needlessly gigantic world. The missions are pretty fun, and a lot of them are legit challenging, but I really wish there was a way to easily find them, either on the world map or in a drop-down list. As is, you just encounter a random P-switch, and you do that mission. They feel a little disposable just because of the way they're laid out, and because the game doesn't really keep track of where each mission you've completed is. They do that for the 5 question mark panels on each course. I don't think it would have been hard to give you a way to keep track of mission locations. That might have incentivized me to actually try and find them all. Again, it is really cool that they did this whole free roam thing. If I played this as a kid, it would seriously blow my mind. As an adult though, I really just needed rewards to make exploring every inch of this place feel worth it. And it bothers me too because the solution is so obvious. There are a ton of rewards that would make for great incentives to explore the open world. Time for what is perhaps the single worst thing and biggest source of missed potential in all of Mario Kart World. The unlockables. First of all, I will say it is really nice to finally have unlockable stuff in a Mario Kart game again. I like the variety of vehicles, both the brand new ones and the plethora of fan favorites from previous games in the series. Even though they were never going to bring Rob back as a character, it is nice he got decommissioned and turned into a motorcycle, just to remind people that at one point he was a part of this series. The vehicles are tied to getting a certain number of coins, which is a fine enough way to unlock them, even if you could have tied some of them to missions in the open world. The main appeal, though, is of course the unlockable characters and costumes. Adding alternate costumes for the standard-ass Mario characters was one of the best things Tor implemented, and I'm so happy to see it in full force in this game. Like, holy shit, sometimes I will actually go out of my way to pick Mario because the Sunshine and Cowboy outfits are too damn cool. Don't even get me started on Aurora Rosalina, or Vampire Waluigi, or Child Labor Baby Mario. This shit seriously rules. And those new characters, oh man. There are some people known as idiots who will tell you that this roster sucks. Me personally, I could not be happier that they went out of their way to give the spotlight to so many glup shittos across the entire Mario series. I'm sure I'll make some sort of video talking about all of them, either a ranking of just the characters in World, or an update to my previous ranking of every character in the series, so I won't say too much more here. Except this, Contor is my new main and I love him. Look at him. Look at his stupid ass neck. He's amazing. I do miss a lot of the fan favorites that were excluded for seemingly no good reason, and I do think the final roster of 8 is definitely much more well-rounded overall. But this roster is just so chaotic and so undeniably fun. I really gotta hand it to Nintendo for thinking way outside the box compared to what I was expecting. So what exactly is the problem I have with this roster of characters and costumes? It's the way you unlock them. Starting with the costumes, you get these by grabbing food items at these Yoshi's Diner restaurants. You know what this means? Bowser, Bowser Jr., and Piranha Plant are all officially added to the Pizza Eater tier. I knew they had it in them. Anyway, these food items transform the characters and give them alternate costumes that are vaguely tied to the food you ate. I guess that's kind of fun, and it allows you to unlock new costumes in the middle of an unrelated race. But the optimal way to unlock these is just to find a certain restaurant in free roam and keep switching between characters and eating its food until you get all the costumes you need. I don't know, that seems a little bit lame to me. Like, why couldn't these costumes have been tied to certain missions in the open world? It's like, that's an easy built-in incentive for you to want to explore in free roam in order to get a reward that is already in the game. But, you know, the food thing may not be the best way to unlock costumes, but at least it's reasonable to expect of the player. The same is not true for the unlockable characters. I mean, there are some easy ones, like you get Donkey Kong for playing the Mushroom Cup, Daisy for playing the Flower Cup, etc, etc. I'm not talking about them. Remember Kamek? That kooky little wizard character that was cut at the last minute in 64 and only finally got his chance to be a racer in Tor and the Booster Course Pass of 8 Deluxe? Well, he's an item now. F you for ever wanting to play as him. And not only is he an item, he is the single worst mechanic in the entire Mario Kart series. In order to unlock 11 new enemy playable characters, like Pianta, Contor, Cataquack, Fishbone, etc., you need to get turned into one by Kamek. In order for this to happen, someone behind you needs to acquire the Kamek Orb item, which is extremely rare. They then use it on the people in front of them, which you better hope you're one of them. And when you do get transformed, you better hope it's the character you want, because some of them, like Swoop, Dolphin, or Fishbone, only seem to appear on certain specific maps. And even if you go to those specific maps and try to get turned into them, there's a chance Kamek will just turn you into a common character like Charge and Chuck or Spike instead. Mario Kart World has essentially locked 11 characters behind a double gacha system. You need to get lucky and hope someone behind you gets the orb item, and then you need to hope Kamek transforms you into the exact character you're looking for. This is the most insane method of unlocking characters in Mario Kart history. At least with some of the crazy things they asked of you in Double Dash and Wii, you are guaranteed to get those characters if you completed these tasks. This shit is completely random and can take you literal days of grinding to get them. Shout out to this video by J Hart going over an exploit you can do with 2 controllers to make it a little bit easier to obtain, because once I used this method, it only took me 2 hours of grinding to get 3 fucking characters, instead of the 2 days it would have taken without this video. If you ever wanted a taste of what it's like to shiny hunt in Pokemon, here you go. This is a deeply miserable and insane choice on Nintendo's part. And I don't know what possessed them to not just add special missions in the overworld where you race against these characters in order to unlock them. Can you imagine how rewarding and fulfilling that would have been? Maybe you need to complete a certain number of normal missions before they appear on certain tracks. Then you beat them in a race, and bada boom, you unlock them. Am I insane for thinking that's a much better system than this ridiculous double gacha shit? How did no one on the team think of this? It would have added so much more purpose to free roam. Instead, we have this gigantic open world mode that feels undercooked because there's nothing substantial to earn from it, and an absolutely insane character unlock method that makes me want to tear what's left of my hair out. On the whole, I think Mario Kart World is a great and fun game. Despite some absolutely baffling design decisions here and there, the core conceit of the series, which is hours of multiplayer fun with your friends, is as strong as ever. The problem is, as strong as ever isn't really good enough this time. I loved my time with the game, but there is absolutely nothing here that justifies the $80 price tag. If free roam was this grand single-player campaign with the amount of stuff to do on the level of Mario Odyssey or something, then maybe there'd be an argument to be made. But as is, if you don't pick this game up in the bundle where the price is a lot more justified and reasonable, you might as well just stick with 8 Deluxe. Even without the Booster Course Pass, the amount of fun you can get from the base roster of 48 tracks in that game is pretty comparable to what World offers. And with the Booster Course Pass, forget it. 8 Deluxe is still by far the better game of the two. And while World has a lot of potential to catch up with updates and DLC in the future, the fact that it'll probably come at even further costs is pretty ridiculous. I really hate to be so negative because I do think World is great and probably one of the better installments in the series, thanks in no small part to the stellar new racing mechanics as well as Knockout Tour. But I'm sorry, Nintendo begged for all this scrutiny by pricing the game so high. I don't think this justifies the price tag that I, and probably you, thankfully didn't pay for it, but people in 5 years who don't get the bundle will. So, all I can do is offer Mario Kart World my most scathing and disappointed 8 out of 10 score to date. I really am having a blast with it, but it kinda needed to be the best game in the series at the very least to justify asking so much of the consumer. Sorry, actually I lied. Conqueror alone makes the price worth it. Hell, I think Nintendo should charge $120 for this game. Where else do you get to play as Conqueror? Masterpiece.